Okay, for the record, if you're ever at a party and somebody hands you an ornate bottle and then someone else at the party goes, don't drink it, it's blood.
It's
Don't
blood.
laugh and take a swig. Okay, like
I'm telling you, you need to at least
maybe
check the
sniff for
viscosity
pennies.
of that shit.
Yeah.
Sniff for pennies. See if it has legs. If it has a lot of legs, it might be blood.
The Articulate Coven is the original, unofficial fan podcast and community for Anne Rice's Interview with a Vampire, The Vampire Chronicles, The Lives of the Mayfair Witches, and the Immortal Universe from AMC and AMC Plus. Welcome to the Articulate Coven. We are your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. And Ashley, it's a movie night. Yay!
It's a movie night. I hope you had some popcorn when you watched this. Except this was kind of a gross movie to eat while you watch.
Eat the popcorn early and get it done with before the gore starts.
It's not a Chinese. Don't order your Chinese food for this film.
Oh, I had forgotten about that scene. I had totally forgotten about that scene. So we're talking about The Lost Boys from 1987. That is tonight's movie. I hope you've seen it already.
Yes.
If you haven't, well, what are you doing here? I mean, come save this and come and watch and listen to it later after you've seen the movie.
It's an 80s masterpiece.
I think it is. I agree. It's very high up in the list of the great, especially the great horror films of the 80s. But I think it's a good movie, period. When did you see this first?
I'd say I first saw this probably when it hit HBO for the first time. So like probably after a video release. I'm 99.9% sure I saw it maybe like 88, 89. But not long after it came out. I mean, like, certainly not. But, like, however long that process would take for a movie to get through, you know, from a basic release of a VHS tape for rentals and things like that, and then into an HBO kind of premium movie service channel.
So, in my memory, when we were kids, you'd have it'd come out in theaters, let's say in like June or July of a summer.
Right.
That'd be like the summer, like Dick Tracy would come out in June or July, and then the next spring the VHS would come out, like March or April.
Usually
before the summer season, they'd start selling the VHS, and then at some point that moved to like a 9-month window or 6-month window because they wanted to get it out for the holidays. Right? They'd start selling the VHS for Christmas season when it came out in the summer. This one I'm pretty sure was like closer to that year-long time frame. So I'm fairly certain that I saw this the summer of 1988 on VHS. I do know I watched it as I watched almost all of my horror movies with my aunt.
Your aunt is like the VIP of your childhood for like making sure you got to enjoy creepy shit.
Man,
like,
the one,
give it up for her.
I was hanging out with her and Mom just a couple of weeks ago back at my mom's house, and one of the movies that came up in conversation was when we all watched Cape Fear together, the Scorsese remake.
Oh shit, yeah. That remake is fucking oof.
We were deep into the beginning of the third act, so like things had really gone off the rails. I don't think they were on the boat yet, but like about to get on the boat. That's where we were. And the
fingers
phone
had already
rang.
been in mouths.
Yes, absolutely. Fingers had been in mouths. The phone rang in the house, and all of us, me, my sister, my mom, and my aunt, are all sitting on the couches, and we all literally like jumped up into the air and off the couch. Oh my God, what is it? Who is it? You know, just because the phone rang in the other room. Anyway.
Because they call you before they murder you.
Yeah, right. The calls coming from inside the house. We didn't even have caller ID.
Oh, that's so fucking scary. No, we didn't. We were living wild out, like raw dog in the world out there. Fucking awful. The 80s were so dangerous.
They were. Okay. One of the things that I love about this movie is all the missing posters, the missing kids posters. Okay,
yes,
super
and on the milk cartons?
Yes.
On the milk cartons?
Super common. First of all, this was real. I mean, not the posters all over town for most towns. Like, you grew up in small town Arkansas, like that wasn't a thing, right? But the milk cartons was, you'd get your milk and there'd just be some missing kid on it, like every fucking time.
And I'll be real, like the second that a kid goes missing in your hometown, in your state or whatever, you do see those fucking signs everywhere. You know, we have an unsolved kidnapping here in the state of Arkansas. Morgan Nick was the name of the girl that was kidnapped. She was like 6 years old, kidnapped from a ballpark in a kind of in the late evening, like went out to chase fucking fireflies and got kidnapped. So like, I mean, that's something that is very, in my mind, something I remember from like being a kid, like those fucking posters up and things like that. There was also feels like there was a fuckload of kidnappings, but again, and this could just be because we were always watching shows we should not be watching with our parents. So we were watching, Unsolved Mysteries and the fucking nightly news, which was just a horror fest at any given time.
But see, okay, that is an example of like, I genuinely do think something changed because we don't see child kidnappings and child disappearances at the same level that we did when we were kids. Maybe it's just that we hear about other crimes in a way that we didn't when we were kids, and so it drowns it out. I don't know, but I don't think that child disappearances is as much of a thing as it was in the 80s, and it really was.
It's probably not on our minds since we are not children.
That's true, I suppose.
Anymore.
But
now you have to worry about your kids. Like I'm like, don't fuck with my dog or
so okay. But
or
on the
else.
flip side, though, everything's tracked, right? Like I have cameras all around my home that are cloud connected, right?
Oh
and
and you probably have them on like Life 360 or whatever it is.
Yes, and their phones are tracked, and their watches are tracked, and their iPads are tracked, and everything at school is video. So like.
Right.
I do think it's genuinely harder to disappear kids these days than it was in the 80s. I mean, you could get a kid on the interstate
to really plan it.
And be gone.
Well, but can you because of CCTV? Like you're going to get caught on cameras. People are going to see your car. They're going to see your license plate. Like you'd have to be very tenacious and committed to an act of like intrastate kidnapping.
Yeah,
especially if you're like. And mostly what we see now are non-custodial parents.
Right.
We see a lot of that with kidnappings. It's less vampires now. It's weird.
less killer clowns like in the It movie. I mean, this very much, I kept thinking, boy, if this wasn't so clearly West Coast, this would be a Stephen King book, right?
Yeah, definitely. Well, like it has some good Stephen King vibes to it, which I love, and I didn't realize it was a Donner film, Richard Donner.
Oh man, the pedigree on this. Okay, so Mr. Goonies himself, Richard Donner, is the executive producer, but also Joel Schumacher directed it.
Schumacher.
Yeah, like
fucking.
This is a
legit
movie.
Filmmakers. And here's the thing about it. It's fucking hilarious. Like it's very tongue-in-cheek. It's got some very like dark comedy qualities to it. It isn't trying to take itself too seriously, which is something I really love about it. And because it does make it still kind of hold up and it keeps it from being really cheesy. The soundtrack to this takes itself so fucking seriously though, which is difficult to believe considering there is a greased muscle man on stage playing the saxophone and he's the lead singer. I love it. It's so fucking crazy.
So okay, you're talking about the seriousness of the soundtrack right up off the top, that the chorus, and you hear it several times throughout, it's like a children's chorus singing. It sounds like the 10 Commandments. The one that I always remember is thou shalt not kill, right?
Yeah, it's got a real 1-2 Freddy's coming for you vibe.
It's so fucking good though, man. And it is.
It's really good.
It's haunting, and it elevates.
So perfect for the time too.
Yes. Well, okay. So they do the Doors early in the soundtrack, and you get the end of the soundtrack. What was it? It's not Queen. Don't Let the Sun Go Down on Me is over the credits.
Is it
like
really?
Yes.
That's hilarious.
I was like, I don't remember this being in there at all.
My fucking movie clicked off the credits. I was watching it. I rented it on Prime, and I was like,
okay.
I didn't push the stay with it thing.
So let me suggest here, if you don't own a copy of this and you've enjoyed this movie in the past, go and buy it. The 4K transfer that is available on like Apple, and I think if you buy it through Prime, it's the same thing too. This new 4K transfer is real good.
$14?
Yeah, it's like $14 on, and it's got special features too. There's bonus features, and I think there's even a commentary track on it too. So like, it's well worth it if you enjoy the movie or if you enjoy this kind of movie at all. The opening of the film starts with the flying scenes, and there's several throughout the movie, but I love the way that they did. First of all, it was cheaper, right? We never see the characters actually flying except in the fight scene right at the very end, but you see their point of view and you hear the laughing. So this is an example to me of like our TV show, our little TV show that could, as they expanded into these next couple of seasons, and we have to deal with the ancients, and we have to really see some big level power. I think there are ways to do it without literally just CGI-ing the shit out of it and making it a
For
the
sure,
conclusion of a
yeah.
Marvel movie.
Yeah, and I think that's better. It's always like I love it. Again, I'm because I'm a horror genre junkie, but I love it when we don't see the monster. That's my fucking favorite thing. I don't ever want to see what I'm afraid of. That makes it so much scarier to me. So yeah, you can make a lot of magic and shadows and make me a very happy camper.
Man, think how good that Langoliers miniseries would have been if we never saw the Langoliers.
Right. Well, even The Mist, which is a fucking incredible adaptation. If you haven't seen it, don't watch it on a day you're feeling real grim about things because it won't help. But it is a fucking insane movie, and you don't see a lot of the monsters, but when you do, it's kind of like, well, this was much scarier when it was just in the fog. You know what I mean? But it's still, what is going to end up there is never going to be as scary as what I made it out to be.
Yes, very much. Show don't tell. I mean, there's a reason why Cthulhu never actually comes, right?
Right. It's the fear of the thing. Another example is that fucking great alien invasion movie. What is it?
Signs? Is that the one you're thinking of?
Signs. Fuck
yeah,
Signs.
you only get
Signs.
one glimpse, and it's short. And it's on TV basically, and
then I hate the end. You see it, and I'm just like, no, it was so scary before, and now I'm just like annoyed.
Well, okay. I mean, a more modern version that did a good job of that is like Bird Box, the Netflix movie, which is not a great movie, but it's fine. They made monsters, but they look dumb, so you just never see them. They were just like, let's just don't do it. Actually,
literally, why you didn't see the shark and Jaws as often as they wanted, as they planned on it, because it didn't work the way it was supposed to. So they were like, well, this looks fucking stupid. Like this looks dumb. Let's not do this.
Okay.
Let's not do that.
So speaking of Netflix, Stranger Things is getting shit right now because they're about to come back for their, final part of this last season or whatever. And the kids are all in their 30s now.
Yeah.
That's a very classic 80s trope, though. Here's Jason Patrick. Jason Patrick playing the older teen brother. I mean, okay, let's be generous and say that he's 19. But we know he's still in school because she chides him several times. Things are going to change around here when summer's over
when
and
school
starts.
Summer's over, yeah. Y'all are going to have to behave when we're back in school.
I mean, I don't know how old Jason Patrick was. He looks 35. Like, this man's got a mortgage, children.
Yeah, he's got responsibilities that he needs to actually... His wife's really pissed. He's been hanging out with these vampires, and she's making him sleep on the couch. It's an ugly plaid couch because it's the 80s. There's a brown ashtray next to it. Kiefer doesn't
look quite that old, but he is legal for sure. He's getting a break on his insurance, right? Like, he's 27 100%. Or so.
Also, like, Kiefer played teenagers for I think for about 20 years, it seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, I could be overstating it completely.
He was the older teen already in Stand By Me, which was like
Me, yeah.
84, 85? I don't know. That was several years before this, is the point. And he was already probably too old to be a teenager.
Right, exactly.
Oh, God. I had forgotten that Alex Winter is in this. He brings up the rear in the group. I just kept expecting Keanu.
Alexander.
I kept expecting Keanu to be behind him, though. Like, where's Bill?
Well,
I mean, Ted.
Yeah. God, I love it. It's so fun. And also, Jamie Gertz is in this, who is just like a glorious, gorgeous 80s film angel. And you didn't see her again for the longest time. And then bitch showed up in fucking what? Twister.
Okay. So I went and looked her up because she is sparkling in this. Like, she's not, she was so good in Less Than Zero. Okay.
Less Than Zero came out.
It was before this, right? Or right after?
Mm-hmm, I think so. It was around the same time. It had Robert Downey Jr. and
it's a great movie.
Andrew McCarthy?
Yes. She's also in 16 Candles. And then she had stints in Entourage and ER, quite a bit later, obviously. But she's so beautiful. And that first moment when she comes on screen, you see why Jason Patrick is like, in a crowd of people, he's staring at her. Like, of course he is.
Dream dream girl from the 80s, like that luscious head full of like thick curly hair. Bitch did not have to tease that hair. Bitch did not have to Aquanet that. That is natural gorgeous head of hair. That's what we all wanted to look like. We all wanted to fucking be her.
Man, when she flips it completely from one side to the other, I was just like, oh, it's fucking captivating.
Yes.
Okay. Speaking of Alex Winter, okay, I have never thought in the books about the fact that, in the TV show, they made it clear that the character Santiago, the TV show being Interview with the Vampire, I should say, Santiago is not his name. Santiago was an assumed name once he became a vampire. His real name was Francis. Okay.
Francis.
Never occurred to me that might be, and it might be the case in the books. If you think about it, in the 94 movie, he's played by a clearly British actor. Like, why is that dude's name? Why is that white guy's name Santiago? Again, it's a little strange. Okay. Here, Alex Winter's character is named Marco. And trust me, that guy's name was not Marco. I don't know what his name was, but it wasn't Marco.
That's fucking
so there
hilarious.
you go. Blonde vampires throughout history have taken on nom de plumes.
Taken on monikers,
They need to look a little cooler.
Everyone likes an alias, Joel. It just makes you cooler.
Okay, I love Grandpa here. Let's see. I got his name written down at the end.
He is delicious.
Barnard Hughes. He's in, you might remember him from Doc Hollywood. He was the older doctor that trained Michael J. Fox. And he's also in Sister Act 2. He's one of the elders, one of the priests or whatever that they're having to appeal to. But his intro right up here at the beginning, he says, Jason Patrick asks him, is it true that Santa Carla is the murder capital of the world? And he goes, well, if all the corpses buried around here stood up at once, we'd have a hell of a population problem.
So funny. His character is so rich for comic relief. His car that plays La Cucaracha as the fucking horn
uses
sound.
the Windex as aftershave. And he's like, oh yeah, I like the smell of that. I'm like, God bless it, Grandpa.
So great. He's what a vintage sort of like 80s grandpa character. Very, very good. Just like this feel of being unsupervised that was so true in the 80s. When you watch movies like this where like the mom's working, trying to get a job, grandpa's out carousing with women, and these two teenage boys are left to their own to get up into shenanigans with vampires and such.
Okay, do you remember in the 90s when I think Universal did it first with Universal City Walk, where they had like nightclubs and bars outside the
Disney
theme parks?
did
Disney Downtown or whatever, Downtown Disney.
Downtown Disney, yeah.
Yes, okay.
Yeah.
This like street fair, carnival, whatever they go to, where everything's
this pier,
going on.
Like
that's what I assumed Downtown Disney was like every night when I was a kid. I'd never been, and so I was like, that. I bet if I ever get to go, it's like that. It's like one big. I guess it's like the party from Pinocchio in the bad town before they all get turned to puppets.
Well, they call it Pleasure. Like the section that was all clubs at Disney was Pleasure Island.
Was it really?
Island. Pleasure Isle, yeah. So when I worked there, my very first job out of college was working at Disney. I was in the entertainment department and I did parades and things like that. So we'll just leave it at that about what I actually did. But I went out with my girlfriends one night to Pleasure Isle. We were like going dancing, having a good time. A man licked me on my shoulder. A stranger person. I wasn't even dancing with him. He just came by, a drive-by licking on my shoulder.
Oh my!
Okay. I would much prefer a Santa Monica Pier feeling than a creepy, sweaty man coming upon me, unbeknownst. But it has this real seedy feel to it. This whole this whole pier area, kind of like a Santa Monica Pier sort of thing, like a Coney Island,
but safe. And I know there are vampires in this crowd, like we know that, still, it felt like well, like a TV version of debauchery, right? Like even the sweaty saxophone player is like, it's not burlesque, right?
It's absurd is what
naughty.
it is.
Yeah. Okay.
Have you ever seen a lead singer of a band also playing saxophone.
No,
I ask
okay.
you, who has the breath control for that?
No lead singer has ever played saxophone. Timmy Capello, by the way, is this guy's name. He played for Tina Turner for 15 years. He played with Ringo Starr. He was on the Beverly Hills Cop soundtrack. Like, this guy's been around. He's a for real deal.
Okay.
I read an article about him today. He says this is all he's ever recognized for. Like, he'll be at conventions or conferences or something, and he's got a stack of photos of him and Tina Turner to sign. He does 2 of those, and it's all Lost Boys merch. That's all people want him to say. Yeah, they want to talk about the shirtless, sweaty saxophone player.
Well, I'm glad he's making his money.
You're right. Okay, we talked about
at least
Star.
He's not Nicky about it. You know what I'm saying? At least he's not being Nicky.
He's like, whatever, man, it works. Okay, we talked about Star earlier. Jamie Gertz is amazing. Let's talk about the kid that's with Star. Okay,
Creepy
he's got
kid,
this little
kid.
Ringo Starr button-up shirt on. What's his
looks
fucking
like
deal, man? Okay,
I don't know, but why does it look like he's wearing like a fucking Civil War jacket?
That's fair. I got very much like British. It was like posh, whatever mod.
I was so confused.
Okay, his name is Laddie.
Military jacket looking things were really cute and kind of in this time period.
Fair.
You know, we all live in a rhythm nation.
Dude, that's a good point. That is a very good point. His name is Laddie Thompson in the credits. Star doesn't have a last name in the credits, so it's not clear, at least, that they're related. My sense, though, was that
missing.
Might be. Okay, so he's missing. She's not.
He's on.
Yeah, we see him on the milk carton
side
later.
of a milk carton.
Good call.
Yeah,
Good call.
Yeah.
So you think that she just sort of adopted him because she's. Yeah, this is our indication that she's a good person, even though she's with the vamps.
I think we've got a Louis Lestat kind of, a Louis Claudia kind of situation here with her and this kid. Like, this kid has obviously gotten into this situation where he's kind of in this half vamp state, which we'll talk about their lore here in a little bit. But so she's taking care of him. She's like taking on a mothering role with him. That's how I've always taken that. Like, not that they have any sort of relationship before they're in this situation together, you know.
Okay, that's fair. That makes it a little bit better, I guess, later when she has sex with him in the room.
Oh, you know, it's not cute.
Okay. Now we meet Edward Herman as Max. He's so good in this, but I remember him. I can't see him at all without thinking of Richie Rich.
Oh, yeah. I can see that being a real
Mr.
issue
Rich,
with him.
Right?
Yeah, he is. He's definitely, yeah. But this is one of the first things I ever saw him in, so I kind of associate him with this, actually. So I always kind of half expect him to turn into a fucking, like, shitty-ass vampire at the end of whatever he's doing.
I don't.
Spoiler alert.
Okay, so we'll talk about that a little bit here. We'll get into it for real later. But I do think when I was a kid, all of the twists in this movie played perfectly for me. I didn't see any of them coming. I felt like as an adult, and maybe it's just because I've seen it before, but it felt like they really make everything clear where this is going to go. Like, there aren't real surprises in this movie, are there?
No, it's not a suspense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like a comedy horror romp. You know, it's just a good time.
Campy comedy horror. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's talk about Corey Feldman and Corey Haim. So
the Coreys.
You mentioned last week just how over the top and amazing Feldman is. He in this one especially, he is a specific vibe. Like one of the first lines he's got in the show, he says, "You'll like this one, Mr. Phoenix. It might save your life."
So like, ridiculous. He and his, I guess it's his brother, the Frog Brothers.
Yeah, the Frog Brothers.
So funny. They're like they take themselves so fucking seriously, which is the only way you can play a role like that, especially as a kid and especially as a teenager, and not come across like fucking stupid, I think. So they're just like so committed to this, like to their being the authority on vampires here. Obviously they know about what's going on in their town, and no one else knows or takes them seriously when they try to tell them about it.
I mean, it does make me wonder, like, first of all, do they know that these things are going on? Have they actually had any interactions? Or are they just sort of paranoid kids that know about the supernatural through these comic books, and so they've put two and two together, but they're really just guessing still? It does make me
it
wonder,
could
like,
be.
where's the Frog Brothers prequel?
Right, exactly. Like, which of their classmates got murdered by the vampires? Like, is it sort of like it kind of adjacent? They have adjacent victims in their lives.
Okay, so I'm fairly certain on this show not too long ago I mentioned that I had watched Old Yeller. So Kevin Corcoran and Tommy Kirk are the two little boys in Old Yeller. They play brothers in Old Yeller. Tommy Kirk, by the way, has a tragic story. If you don't know about it, he was homosexual, and when it was outed by the press, the rumors started to come out. Disney basically buried him, and like he never worked again afterwards. Yeah, it's kind of fucked up. But Tommy Kirk and Kevin Corcoran played brothers several times in those Disney movies around that time period. And like, go and watch those movies now. Nobody's ever been as realistic as a kid on screen as those two dudes were. The way they would bicker and the way they would talk to adults and the way they would, it was just fucking unbelievable. Anyway, I bring all of that up because Corey Haim is so good in this. Like, this is a comedy, or at least partially a comedy, and he's playing it at a little bit of an elevated level, but like, he's so believable in the way that he defends his brother, even once he realizes what's happened to him, the way that he goes about trying to solve this situation, the way that he is not really opposed to his mom's moving on or a new relationship, but at the same time, like, it's a hassle that mom wants to date or whatever. Anyway, Corey Haim's the shit, and we missed out on so fucking much. It honestly, I find it hard to watch movies with him in it because it's like what would his 40s and 50s have been like as an actor? Meanwhile, how better could Feldman have kept it together if Haim had been here all along? You know, like, those two dudes got put through the fucking ringer, man.
Yeah, or it just if people took the safety of children working as adults seriously, you know, like, I mean, that's a whole fucking can of worms about how these kids were manipulated and abused in Hollywood. It's fucking awful, you know. It's no wonder River Phoenix died at like what, 23, 24. It's fucking awful. It's very awful. These guys went through is
I mean, and that is one of, I think that is one of the best things to come out of. And I really think it got finalized as it were. I mean, not like it's a solved problem, but I think it got its over the hump, so to speak, with the Me Too movement. Like, the one of the fallouts of that is that, like, hey, the corners of this industry where you think you can get away with things, it's not going to fly anymore, because all of that shit is just like we said earlier about child disappearances, period. Everybody got a camera, everybody's got recording equipment, and we're going to put that shit on Front Street.
Well, and making it less about, you know, like, the culture isn't just to ignore it. The culture is to respond to it, you know, and that's a much better way to be when you have actors who are underage and who need to be taken care of and protected in an environment where they're allowed to live a bit like adults. Yes. All right, less deep shit for a minute. Let's talk about Dianne Wiest. Can we discuss her in this? She's so fucking funny.
Okay, she is so funny to
really
me in
this. She's so cute and like adorably, like, kind of goofy and sort of clueless, and then but sort of like, you could tell she loves her kids a lot. They all have really great chemistry together as like a little family unit. She's got great chemistry with her dad. She teases and makes fun of her dad. It's really all lovely.
She plays Gene Hackman's wife in The Birdcage, right? She's like the mother-in-law.
Yes, she does.
That's probably what I remember her most in, honestly.
She's also one of the ants in Practical Magic, one of the witch ants in Practical Magic. I love her. She's fabulous.
Yeah, she's really good here. And you're right. She's, again, very believable as she's a single mom, you know. She always
reminds me of our friend Jana a little bit. Like, Jana always gives me kind of Dianne Wiest vibes. Yeah,
I could see that. I love the line that Grandpa gives to her. You're the only woman I know that can come out of a divorce worse off.
Worse off. She just wanted it to be done. God bless her.
Well,
at least she's an independent woman.
And it does
done.
make you, it's not, that's the only line that hints at it at all really in the thing, but it does make you wonder, like, how did that marriage end? Dad's not involved at all and connected to the kids at all. We don't hear about him at all. And she was so ready to be done with it that she didn't fight him on any money issues and just basically walked away from everything. It sounds like boy, what was going on there? These
Sounds
kids,
like a real winner.
yeah, they didn't have a great situation, it seems like, before they came to Santa Carla with all the vampires. All right, let's talk about Kiefer Sutherland's David here. David, the vampire, has definitely read the Vampire Lestat novel, Ashley.
Oh,
He's
my Jesus. Yes, he has. He is
very
living and
Lestat
breathing
coded.
that style. Yeah, absolutely. Something hilarious about his character. We were, Brett and I were watching it this morning, actually, and he was like, how many times he says Michael like constantly, and we were watching it because I watch everything with subtitles on because I'm an old deaf person, and then I started really noticing it, how often, like almost every time he spoke, he'd finish the sentence with Michael, 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 and then they're all whispering Michael, Michael, Michael,
Okay.
Michael, and it's fucking crazy. And I know it's supposed to have this like hypnotic effect sort of feeling, and that's probably what they were going for, but it's fucking hilarious if you're just like, boy, sure, Kiefer's sure saying your first name a lot. Like in a conversation, it would be like me just being like, yeah, Joel, how is work today, Joel? How's Kelly, Joel? How are the kids, Joel?
Okay. I think that this is it's threesome coded. So Star is clearly into Michael, even though she's clearly with David. Right. But Michael is not chasing Star around this whole movie. He's chasing
That's
David
very
around,
true.
right? Like Star tells him, don't drink that, it's blood. Don't go with him, Michael. Don't go do the thing. The person that ostensibly he's supposed to be impressing or like drawing into his circle or whatever, he's not hanging out with her. He's hanging out with her boyfriend. I think the repetition of the name is like the way that we can hint at male eroticism without
I like that.
making this movie uncomfortable. You know, there's something intimate about saying the name like that, and like especially
Absolutely.
calling your person's name like close to them and whispering in an ear, for instance, right?
Yeah.
Kiefer's David does that throughout this fucking movie.
I mean constantly.
I'm not gonna suggest anything about anybody else's sexuality, but Jason, Patrick, and Kiefer were very good friends for a very long time in the 80s when they all did a lot of drugs. So like things happen, probably, is all
God
I'm
only
saying.
knows. It's not my business, but
Yeah,
I sure am interested.
I think that's the eroticism, that repetition of the name. I think they're trying to make this about male sexuality.
Well, and I had the same thought, like when I was watching it, that I don't understand, aside from just he has to want Michael to be part of his coven. He has to want that in some way, because otherwise, why is he pursuing Michael in this way, where it's like almost trying a seduction thing, where it's like, you're not acting like you're mad that he's going after your girlfriend, you know,
I think,
or if you are mad, it's because you want the attention for yourself. I totally picked that vibe this time watching it.
I absolutely think there is something. I think he desires Michael in the group. Absolutely. Maybe at first that wasn't it. It's like, yeah, this will be the guy that you kill first, Star, and you'll start your own vampiric existence. But when it was clear that wasn't going to happen, then he's like, well, he's a pretty cool guy. Look at that great leather jacket he's got. You know, he's strong. He's young.
He hung on to the fucking underside of the railroad trestle for a
time.
very long time.
That's right.
His test of masculinity, he completely passed.
So I'm genuinely surprised that none of them ever say something like, you know, now you're on the devil's road, Michael, or it's a big savage garden, drink it up. Like
it
the,
does
the
have
books
a
were
real
out.
feel.
It's clear these guys are all, and the
nod.
creators, right? The creators are inspired by these are the rock star vampires. They're just drawing it out on film.
They have the best fucking like hangout too. Like their
God,
fucking lair is so fantastic. Like I'm sure this is like, it's got a total opium den vibe too. Like, you know, but it just seemed like the coolest fucking place for vampires to hang out when I watched this movie for the first time.
Listen, if I'm ever directing Peter Pan, my Lost Boys are going to have a lair just like this. It'll be a crash hotel.
Yes,
So
on the coastline and with pictures of fucking the what's his name, lead singer of the Doors.
Oh, Jim Morrison. Yeah, I had that
Jim
earlier.
Morrison.
They've got a
they've got
giant
Jason
Jim
Patrick,
Morrison poster.
And they've got when he's drinking the blood for the first time, they've got like him kind of fading in and out of that sort of fucking that poster to give it this vibe of like, does he look like him? What's happening? It's so hilarious.
Okay. For the record, if you're ever at a party and somebody hands you an ornate bottle and then someone else at the party goes, "Don't drink it. It's blood." Don't laugh and take a swig. Okay. Like,
I'm telling you, you need to at least check the viscosity of that shit. Yeah. Sniff for pennies. See if it has legs. If it has a lot of legs, it might be blood.
Oh man. Okay.
I mean, I can't pretend I haven't like drunk blindly from bottles before though. Let's be real.
None of mine had jewels on them though, Ashley.
No, fair enough. That's fair enough. Mainly because I'm poor and so are my friends.
By the way, can we talk about fucking creepy ass Max draining himself into a shiny bottle and handing it to the local thug kids to carry around? Like,
so gross. Like, so it seems like the lore of this is it's not necessarily you get bit, but you drink the blood of a bigger vampire than you.
So my guess is that they could,
the daddy vamp.
Yeah, the daddy vamp. My guess is that they could probably be turned if they were bitten as well. And the main reason I say that is that at the end, Max goes to bite the mom. Instead of he doesn't try to force feed her anything, he's going to bite her neck, right? My guess is that a bite would turn it.
She's not doing a tube feeding.
Okay, so I love though in other vampire stories, Anne doesn't have this thing in her novels, but in other vampire stories where there's like the turning period, the classic one that I think about is Once Bitten, the Jim Carrey movie that I suggested maybe as our comedy one. But you have like this long period where he's like hiding from the light and he wants to eat raw steak, and then he's just
eating raw
drinking
meat out
the
of
blood
the
out of it, or whatever. And anyway, I love that period. Like, think Renfield in the classic Dracula novel, right? Or Lucy even more so, because you see that she is both like losing certain parts of herself. She's exhibiting the negative symptoms of vampirism, but also she's stronger and healthier than she was before. And she's more aggressive sexually than she was before, or whatever, right? So like Anne's vamps are turned and they shit their pants. And then that's it. I mean, let's be honest. That's what happens.
It's pretty quick.
They go, "Oh, I've got cramps," and they shit their pants, and then they're vampires, and that's it.
Yeah, and then they're beautiful. No one cares that they shit their pants because they're so beautiful.
I always like, especially in the interview with the vampire series where they're like rolling around on the altar. I kept thinking in season 1, I was like, okay, Louis is about to shit his pants there. Like, get him out of the church at least, guys.
Don't shit on the altar.
Don't fuck him yet. Wait, and then hit the fountain. Anyway,
hit the fountain.
But okay, but these vampires don't do that. These vampires, as you said, like it seems like Max's plan is to get himself a little coven, a little army of underlings by passing the blood around. And like,
and he's then he wants, when he meets this woman, wants to create his own, like they even joke about it. It's fucking like bloodthirsty Brady
one
bunch.
Big happy family.
So fucking crazy.
But I mean, Star even says it later in the movie. She's like, she can't say no. She can't turn it down. So apparently the blood, just as it is in Anne's world, is addictive. It's very compelling to drink it and experience these things. I mean, look.
Well, you're probably slowly dying. I mean, you think about like you're probably, that's part of it, what's happening. And so you do have like a need for it, I would assume, like a need and a craving for it as part of this process.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm glad that Anne didn't just copy Dracula and whatever had gone before, right? Her world is different.
For sure.
But I think it's interesting to look at those different versions of the way that this, paranormal world could work. Okay. There's a great line here from Corey Haim after he realizes what's happening to
To Michael?
To Michael. He goes, my own brother, a goddamn shit-sucking vampire. Just wait till I tell Mom.
It's so fucking funny. Like, I laughed so hard at that line. Every time I've watched it, but this time I was just like, that's so fucking hilarious, and so like embracing the whole comedy side of this film, which I love.
It does make you wonder though, like what if your kid brother, well, in this case your big brother, what if you realized your big brother was a vampire? Like, fuck, man,
it totally feels like something my sister would have done on accident.
You drank the blood. Come on.
Are you serious, Megan? Damn it. Now I gotta get you out of this situation.
Did you notice the frog? I'm guessing this is the Frog Brothers' parents in the video store. We cut to the video store when he's on the phone with them, and behind the Frog Brothers, they're just two passed out hippies, literally propped. Looked like they could be dead.
They looked like they could be dead, 100%.
With the TV
I feel
on
like
right
in
behind
one
them.
shot, I saw one of them, and then later there's another shot where they're both there, and and particularly in that second shot, I was like, "Are they alive?"
Just fucking blissed out, man.
Yeah, it's so good.
Well, we know Grandpa's growing weed behind his kitchen, so apparently it's common in Santa Carla.
Yeah. It's one of the first things they hand. David hands Michael a joint, like right off the bat there when they're going down into the lair.
Oh, that's right. Okay.
Before the Chinese food, the maggots in the Chinese food.
Okay, let's talk about that for a minute. Great effects there, and the way that you just cut to it and then cut back from it or whatever, and it really like sets you on edge. It does make me wonder though, like, I mean, at that point, Michael hasn't ingested anything. Well, I guess. Did they smoked on the way down? So he had smoked a joint already, I guess?
Yeah,
anyway,
I think so.
My thing is this. If I'm at a party and a guy tells me that I'm eating maggots and I look down and there's maggots and then they're not, it's just rice again. And he says something about noodles and it's worms and then they're not worms, they're noodles again. I don't hang out and drink the blood after that at this party.
No.
I fuck off.
No. I probably find myself a good excuse. Even if it's Kiefer Sutherland, who I would like to party with that guy very much. I like to party with a guy who jumps into a Christmas tree with the fucking vim and vigor I've seen him do. I'm here for it. However, I would fuck right off. I'd be like, sorry, y'all. I just started my period. Bye.
Okay, so
which might be a bad thing to say.
Yeah, I know, right? That would be exactly the wrong
Can't say that around Lestat.
So Michael goes home. He begins to realize what's happening to him. Thinks something's up anyway. So he comes back to find Star and figure out what's happening. This is what I was talking about earlier. So Star is sitting on the bed with the child vamp with Laddie. And then she and Michael fuck. Like, is the kid just over there, the corner of the room, sleeping? Like, where did they go to bone in this By the way, the place where they bone is so much cleaner than the rest of the rundown hotel, right?
It is.
It's like
Isn't
nice,
it? Yeah.
well lit.
There might be like an air purifier in there even. I'm not sure. No, this is why I think no, you can't like fuck with guests when you have a studio apartment.
You can. You gotta be very quiet.
You can, but yeah,
you play war movies. That's what. Oh my god, I'm gonna tell this story. My parents, when we grew up, my parents' bedroom was here, and my little sister's bedroom was literally right next door to theirs, just one wall in between them. And when we were, I don't know, 14 or 15, we began to notice a pattern that when they would play a war film very late at night, Dad would be in a great mood the next day.
Oh my God.
And so many were the morning where I would come in and I'd be like making my bowl of cereal or grabbing a honey bun or whatever, and Jenna would be in a very bad mood and she'd be like,
because shit was real in Korea last night.
Parents were watching war movies all night long.
Poor Jenna.
It was 2 a.m. before they turned off Iwo Jima. Anyway,
yeah. Oh
there was none of that.
God.
They didn't play any war movies. Michael and Star just fucked, and Laddie had to look the other way, I guess. I don't know.
Sleep through it.
Okay.
Close his eyes and think of England.
Yeah, right. I love that we wait so long to see our first vamp transformation. You know, we see the flying scenes earlier and we don't see the vamps at all. And then when they finally turn, I dig it. It's dated, obviously, right? And it's
but
a little
looks
camp.
good.
I think it's very effective.
I did lose my shit over their fucking feet though when they're like sleeping and hanging upside down. I was like, that's some fucked up fucking toenails, buddy.
Well, okay,
my God.
So it's literally like a clawed foot, like he's
like a fucking
multiple,
bat.
Yes. So it makes me wonder. And okay, Kiefer has killed already at this point, so he has full on transformed, and so
I think all of
our
coven guys are all full on vamps. I
yes,
think
it's just
the
Laddie
only halfways we have are those two. Yeah,
which it makes
and
you
now
wonder,
Michael.
Like, how the fuck did Laddie get the blood? Did they give it to him just for shits and giggles? Like, what's the deal there?
Is it like when a toddler gets to that age where they just pick things up and start drinking them that you have to really be paying attention? Like, did that sort of happen to him? Like, what Laddie, what?
Did they pick him up for a snack and then Star gave him the blood so that they wouldn't drink from him? Like, they were going to eat him, and she was like, no, he's one of us. No, you can't.
Like, you really want Laddie to have a better backstory than he might have. I appreciate that for you.
I don't know.
Or they could have kidnapped him to just kill him and then, Okay.
I mean,
maybe they bit him. Maybe he had a bite. He had the face problem. Star, we never saw Star with a fucked up face. We did see Michael with a fucked up face.
But we
never see Star looking fuggles.
We don't see her transformed. That's right. Although there is a good moment. I like the moment where she's at the bottom of the house on the ground floor or whatever, and she's talking up through the window, and Corey's like, is she one of you? And he goes, I don't know. And then boom, she's in the window, and he goes, she's in the window. Okay.
So fun.
So I like the vampire effects. However, the kill scene where, among other things, Kiefer bites into someone's skull, like on the top of their skull, and then he ends up ripping the head wide open.
But can we discuss Midnight Mass? And that happens in Midnight Mass.
Does
like,
it
when
really?
The guy hits his head. So he doesn't start that way. The guy hits his head and knocks himself out. And then he's just fucking like eating him through his skull.
That's right.
Spoiler
I forgot
alert.
About that. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, first of all, I had not noticed that before. I think that's like a 4K transfer thing that I finally noticed. I don't know.
Yeah, probably so. Oh, almost certainly. You think about it, like there's so much, like a head wound bleeds so much because we have so many like vessels and shit in there. Like, I mean, it's not a bad idea.
We do get a little bit of an explanation about how they get away with this, by the way, because they just toss all the bodies onto the bonfire. You're like, okay, all right, well, that's fair.
It's one and done.
It's a big ass fire.
Taking care of business. Well, they've killed a lot of people.
Okay, continuing the great lines from Corey Haim. Don't kill me, Mike. I'm basically a good kid, so don't kill me.
He's so cute. He's so cute.
I love when the tables turn here, though. Like when Corey Haim's character gets on board with saving his brother, and he's like, "No, we're going to do something about this." I think from there it's like all downhill, and it's all fun stuff.
Well, and they're trying to figure out, like, the dinner scene with Max is super fun.
Yes.
Where and of course, you know, they fucking invited him in, and that's a whole thing that has to be done. And but no, that dinner scene is so fucking funny to me. The massive amounts of garlic and Parmesan they throw on his spaghetti to try to figure out if he's a vampire or not is just fucking ridiculous. It's all so funny. That dinner scene is the height of 80s shenanigans for me.
Yeah, it's very good. And Max Herman plays that really, really well too. Like,
yeah. And
I love the moment when he's leaving too. And again, it endears him, and it throws you off the scent as the viewer. Like, I mean, I know who he is exactly, but by the time he leaves, I'm like, oh, he's a good guy. I can't remember exactly what he says there to Corey Haim's character, but he's basically like, hey man, I get it. Yeah, I'm not trying to replace your dad. I'm not trying to steal your mom. I just want to be your friend. You
and
guys have a great evening.
That's not what any of this was about. It was about you being a fucking vampire, bro. But like he they see his reflection. So all the like the tropes, he's like covers his ass really well. And you find out that the reason why is that he was invited in so they could see his reflection. So that was a good little retcon for vampire lore for us.
So it works for the movie. The nitpicker in me immediately is like, hey man, like that is not. This is all science based, right? Like, how does that work? Once I give you permission to be in my house, your physics work differently now. You show up in reflections. Yeah, like
can you defy gravity? Oh, well, they can defy gravity because they can't fly. Yeah, no, I guess Joel, the rules of physics don't count with them. We have to accept it.
So once they're going to go down and they're going to kill the vampires in the lair. And Michael is having a hard time because at this point, like the sun is really bothering him. He almost can't do anything. He's lethargic.
And he's getting the other two out of the lair. That's what he's doing while the kids are going after the actual fucking vampires.
So, but Corey Haim tells him, well, this time I'll protect you, bud. You may be a vampire, but you're still my brother.
Still my brother.
I love that shit. I love that shit, man. It also, it made me think of, again, like how happy I am that we got Paul's story in Interview with the Vampire, like that relationship and the fact that it's still relevant too, right? It came up in the last in the series finale or the season finale, I should say, not series finale. Yeah, we're not there yet.
God, no, we're not there yet.
But no, that's a beautiful part of the story, and it's a beautiful part of Louis' character, and so I'm glad that we have that now to remember. Yeah. I like that these two brothers play so well here, and even the Frog Brothers, they get some good moments too.
Yeah. Oh yeah, they're great. The whole final battle scene is just delicious to the nth degree as well.
Okay, the kids are all carrying Star and Laddie up the stairs. These two stranger children who Grandpa has never seen. Grandpa stops them on the stairs and says, Michael, do you know the rule about filling up the car with gas when you take it out? Michael's like, no, Grandpa. He goes, well, now you do. And then just goes about his day.
Yeah. They never mind that these people, like, Star's got her fucking whole head wrapped around with, like, a leather jacket and some shit. It looks like they've kidnapped these people.
Oh, my god!
Like, there's about to be some top-notch fucking bullshit going on upstairs in your house, Grandpa. You might want to pay attention.
Well, and he's got
But they send him off on a date. They send him off on a fake-ass date. I hope he at least got laid.
He's got the good moment earlier, though, where he says he notices Michael having come in from partying with Star, and he's like, looks like I'm not the only one that got lucky last night.
Lucky last night, yeah.
Yeah, the Widow Johnson is getting it, apparently.
Yeah.
Okay. You mentioned already Kiefer waking up in his lair after they've gone and attacked him. We see the clawed feet holding him up. But I mean...
Oh, God.
The assumption there is that they've all got those fucking clawed feet,
yeah,
right?
they're
Which
sleeping
Max,
like bats. They're hanging
Max
out and sleeping like bats.
Probably a full-on Nosferatu, right? Like he's like in his unchanged form or whatever, he's probably like a...
He's the master batter?
Yeah, he's the master batter.
That's so stupid. I'm sorry. I hate myself.
Oh, we're 12. We're 12. Okay, you mentioned the final fight. First of all, them putting the thermoses in the holy water is up there with like Kevin McAllister getting ready for the home invasion at the end of Home Alone.
Great.
I love it. I love it so much.
It is. Yeah, they're getting themselves all ready. They've got garlic. They've got holy water. They are ready to rock and roll. The bathtub full of holy water and garlic is so fucking funny to me. To this day, that death makes me laugh so hard.
Okay.
And Nanook gets to help.
7-year-old Joel, though, who was watching this in '88, was fucked up by that melting vampire. That was up there with the skinned body in Predator hanging when they first walk upon that. It was like, wow. And it lasts longer than you think.
It does.
Too.
There's like 3 stages of it. Like you could tell, like this is the first stage of this special effect. Now this is phase 2 of the special effect. We did a cutaway, and now we've put stage 2 into the bathtub, and this is stage 2. And now, we're gonna cut away to the kids again, and they're horrified. And now we're gonna go to stage 3, where we're just a skeleton.
You can be a Skullington.
A skeleton.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit of 80s drama and gossip. It was Jason Patric that Julia Roberts ran away with from the wedding when she was supposed to marry Kiefer Sutherland, right?
She was supposed to marry Kiefer Sutherland. Yeah.
And Jason Patric
they were engaged.
was
that
the
was
best
all after
man?
That was all after Flatliners.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was fitting that it's the two of them kicking each other's ass at the end of this thing.
In this movie.
Yeah, like I mean, but I don't have that bad. Like Jason Patric was the best man, right?
I'm not 100% sure about that, but that sounds probably accurate.
Like they had been very good friends for a long time at that point. Anyway, it's a crazy story. If you've never like gone into that, Kiefer Sutherland and Julia Roberts were both like gigantic stars at the time. It was going to be like a really fucking fancy Hollywood wedding. Like they were like the paparazzi were going to be there, the whole 9 yards. Right. And then she just deuces.
She was like, bye.
Okay, let's all take a moment to appreciate the way that Kiefer Sutherland pronounces the word immortal. Did you notice this? He goes, I would have made you immortal.
Okay, good. Well, he's Canadian. He's Canadian,
taunting
right?
David, right? Like he's taunting Michael, I should say. He's like all around which again, here it's very, very much like same-sex attraction coded because he's like, Michael. And then he's like right on top of him, like right in his ear. Anyway, one of those moments he says, I would have made you immortal.
Does that mean
it's like
immortal
a generic drug of
tall?
some sort? Yes, immortal.
Bless his heart.
Okay. One of the common complaints about Marvel movies, and I've especially heard this about like the Venom movies, is it was maybe the worst offender at this. So many of these movies end up with like, we've got one guy with the same powers as the other guy in a different colored suit, and they're just hitting each other, like spraying different colored lasers at one another or whatever. But that's basically what we get here with Jason and Kiefer. Like Jason Patric finally vamps out, and now I'm going to whoop Kiefer Sutherland's ass, and they're going at it. Well, it's kind of cute, honestly.
That house is so fucking crazy and creepy and weird. And it's so like the grandpa's really into like taxidermy. So there's all these fucking taxidermied animals and antlers everywhere. It's fucking wild. So like there is a lot of like people getting, impaled upon antlers in this final battle scene.
Yeah. Okay. What did you think about the big reveal? So Jason Patric kills Kiefer Sutherland's character David, stabs him on the antlers. Don't get better. Nothing happens, and they're like, "Oh no, what's going on?" And finally, they're like, there must be one more left." Max shows up to the house. So like clearly, if you didn't know, if you didn't know at this point that it's him, now you finally do know. But eventually, he actually like, my boys got a little away with themselves, whatever, out of line. What'd you think about this?
It's just locker room talk. It's just he sounds like a fucking rapist dad.
He does, right? He's such a shit in this.
Oh, he's such a slime bag. Yeah. I mean, he has a kind of slimy vibe from Jump Street, I think. He's a little creepy to me, but and maybe it's just because I'm always associating him with this particular role. But yeah, no, he wants a baby mama for his sweet vampy babies, his vampire boys. And he thinks that their mom would be the best one he's come across in a while. So he thought he'd turn her sons, and then she would have to become a vampire.
Okay,
this is not a good dating this is not a good dating plan of action here. If you're thinking about maybe trying to woo a woman, maybe don't try to turn her sons into vampires.
Okay, I don't want to impugn Dianne Wiest at all, but this dude is an immortal vampire, and that's the best paramour that he can find.
Oh, look, it's a fucked up town. She's new.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you've been there ostensibly for... I want to say there's something that hints in the movie that he might have been around for like 100 years, that he was there when the hotel crashed or something. I seem to remember that from before.
Maternal, Joel.
I mean, she's fine.
Very maternal.
She didn't even make the first marriage work, Ashley. What are we expecting here?
It sounds like he was an asshole, Joel, not her.
Anyway, I'm just saying. I'm saying Daddy Vamp.
Why do we sound like kids defending their divorce parents right now?
Right.
We're arguing about whose fault it was that they got divorced.
Max could have broadened his horizons. Is all I'm saying. There's
I
another
mean, maybe.
There's another love out there for you.
A lot of those carousel riders look pretty hard, though. Let's be real about the beginning of the movie.
Well, people are
like,
strange when you're a stranger, Ashley.
Yep. And I mean, there have been places I've lived in Ohio that you've also lived, Joel, where you might have been riding on a horse all day long and then go to the grocery store and you aren't the hardest looking motherfucker there.
It's small town Ohio. It's heavy life. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, it is something else.
Okay, Grandpa saves the day. It's one of my favorite moments.
Yes, Grandpa.
So I always think about, anytime I think about this movie, this is what I think about, is Grandpa's quip at the end.
The final line of this movie, is the best. It's the best line. One of the best film ending lines ever. I love it so much.
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
Yes. Cue roll credits. It's great. I love it. Like, he's known the whole time there's fucking vampires there. He doesn't go into town. He's not fucking around with those people.
Okay.
They wrecked his house.
It does make me wonder, though, is this where Mom grew up? Right? Like, has Grandpa lived here since she was young? And if so, was she so fucking clueless when she was a kid that she never knew they were vampires and Grandpa was fighting them?
I always felt like he must have moved there. He and his wife must have moved there after she graduated.
He retired to Santa Carla and realized
it's their retirement place.
All right,
yeah.
That's fair. That makes more sense.
I assume.
Yeah, he probably took up taxidermy
she's
later.
Stupid,
right? Yes, yeah.
That feels like a later in life hobby for most people. I think taxidermy.
I'll agree with that. I don't think Grandpa was doing it professionally. Let's put it like that.
No, it didn't look like based off the things he was leaving in for.
Oh man. This is a lot of
Haim's bedroom.
This is a lot of fun. This movie is a lot of fun. It is. It's just the right amount of gory. I really do. We talked about it earlier as far as the flying, about like saving budget, but it's like show don't tell, but you don't have to show it all, right? Like, you can make me feel, boy, I think all the time about the psycho shower scene, right? Like, you don't ever see the knife hit anything.
But your brain thinks you did.
Yes,
like, your brain makes
exactly.
You think you did. Yep, absolutely. Yeah. I love it. This is such a fun. I think for a lot of people, my age-ish, our age-ish, like, this was one of their entry level kind of vampire flicks. This and like maybe Monster Squad, things like that. So it's just so fun to revisit it.
It's like those two and Fright Night, right? I feel like there were a certain group
was so great.
There was like Fright Night was their movie. A certain group was Lost Boys.
Was really good. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Lost Boys was always going to be like, obviously I have an older sister too. That's something like, she was like, well, we're fucking watching Lost Boys, but it just was, to me, just like a really, I was already super into Kiefer Sutherland because of the things I'd seen him in, like Stand By Me and such. So yeah, this was I love this movie. It's so much fun for me. It's fun to revisit. I always have a good time when I watch it. Like, I probably haven't watched it start to finish in maybe 10 or 12, 15 years. So this was really fun to do. I caught the end of it maybe like 3 or 4 years ago, like on something. And I sat down and watched the last like probably half hour of it. But this was fun to watch from the beginning.
Oh man, this is absolutely one of those, the Bill Simmons, the NBA analyst and discusser or whatever. He's got a show called The Rewatchables, which I love. But the premise of that podcast is basically like, hey, this is one of those movies where if you're like getting ready for an event and it's on cable, suddenly you're late for the event, right? Because you're
gonna watch it.
Yeah. Andy's about to climb out of the sewer. Like, I'm just gonna watch a few.
Shit.
Right? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And you just can't. Basically,
I also
this
play
whole
a game
movie,
where I'm like, I'll just want to watch the happy part of Poltergeist.
But I mean, like this movie, there's like 6 or a dozen moments in it where if I happen into the room and this is on, I'm gonna just sit down and watch it.
100%.
Any of the
totally.
attacks, for instance, any of the attacks from the crew when they're doing that POV flying shot, I'm fucking in, man. But also all the Frog Brothers stuff with Corey Haim trying to figure it out and what's going on with his brother and what's the truth about this, and all that stuff's fun. It's on.
Yeah, it
honestly,
really is.
It's great.
It's a delightful little romp. I highly recommend for your less serious vampire needs. If you want a little less a a little less domestic violence, and though I guess there is a lot of fights in a house in this one. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah. No, there are quite a lot of fights in the house, but none of them happen between people who live in the house. So I don't think that counts as domestic violence. You're all good.
Yeah, I think we're doing good. I think we're doing better.
All right. Let's see. What do we have coming up next, Ashley? Next week, we're going to be back with another book club episode. We're going to talk about parts 2 and 3 of the Vampire Lestat. And
yes.
Then we're going to come back. What was the next movie that we talked about? Let me pull up my notes here.
Oh, I can't remember. Have we decided on all 4?
Yes, probably we're going to end up with 5, depending upon how many book clubs we go. So we're going to do. We did The Lost Boys tonight. We're going to do Love at First Bite with George Hamilton is our next movie. A nice comedy, straight up comedy, and then we're going to do Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula from '92. That'll be the 3rd movie that we do. I know we're going to do Only Lovers Left Alive after that, which is the Jim Jarmusch. Me neither.
Very excited to watch it.
So that's Tilda Swinton and Tom Hiddleston are the leads in that, but it's the whole cast is pretty good in that movie actually. And then we've got one more after that probably, and I don't know. We'll probably go back and do another comedy. You and I'll talk about it between here and there. We got several weeks because there's a lot of book to get to as well. The reason we're doing TVL parts 2 and 3, by the way, we talked about this last week in our episode about part 1, but part 2 and 3 are the legacy of Magnus. And then it's the section of the book that focuses on Gabrielle. And to me, it's like Lestat's father and his mother. And so we're going to get the parentage of our favorite blonde vampire next week on the book club right here. Don't forget the merch sale is still ongoing. The links are in our show notes.
Some merch.
That's right. We got t-shirts. We've got we got a hoodie. We've got some tank tops. We've got a notebook. We got some baseball caps. All that stuff is at articulatecoven.com/merch, or again, the links are in the show notes. So the way that sale works is it'll be ongoing through July 30th. So let's see, as this comes out, you've only got a little bit left to make your order for the first batch, and then those items will start shipping right away. So get in your orders right now to make sure you make it in on this first sale. We will do another sale for sure before the launch of Mayfair Season 2. That's coming in January.
Yeah, Joel's got some great ideas, you guys.
Yeah, we'll have some Mayfair specific merchandise and maybe some more stuff generally about the Articulate Coven as well. But go ahead and get your stuff in for this first order right now, and appreciate everybody who's done so far. What else, Ashley? I feel like I'm missing something.
We have more reaction videos to Charlie Rose interviews coming as well.
Yes, that's right. Keep watching the YouTube channel if you're not subscribed. Even if you listen to the show normally and you're not going to watch the videos, that's cool. We've got extra videos on occasion, both shorts and these longer form videos where Ashley and I are reacting to Anne's interviews with Charlie Rose from PBS back in the day. And we're going to do, once we get through those, Ashley, I want us to maybe together, there's a good interview that came out with Rollin at the end of May. Excuse me. Rollin Jones was like a 30-minute presentation from ATX, maybe? I don't know. AMC put it together, but it was somewhere. I've got that video linked. And so I think you and I are going to react to that so we can get some follow-up from Rollin, since we never got to hear from him in the episode Insiders this year.
No, bless the strike. But I'm glad he's back with us full time and at his, in his prime.
That's right.
With the way we like him.
That's right. Rest up. Get ready to rock and roll for season 3 and season 4, Rollin. We've got a long road ahead of us. The Devil's Road, my friend, and we'll ride it together.
So excited.
All right, folks, read parts 2 and 3 of the Vampire Lestat and come back and join us next week when we are with you again. Until then, we have been your hosts. I'm Joel.
I'm Ashley.
And we are the Articulate Coven. Thanks for listening to The Articulate Coven. If you enjoyed the show, check out our groups on Facebook and Discord. Subscribe to the channel on YouTube. Or find us at articulatecoven.com and wherever you listen to podcasts.